Ego and pride aside. I know you, but I don't know you. You know you, but do you know you? Ego and pride aside. You know me, but you don't know me. I know me, but do I know me? Ego and pride aside. I know you when you don't know you. You know me.
They'll say in their mind, he think he run things around here. You know what I mean? So I had certain officers to where we had run-ins, and they tried to I remember the one time this officer, he had tried to give me a what they call that, a direct order.
No, a direct order.
Yeah, he said, I'm giving you a direct order.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and me, I'm like this. And at this time, this direct order was basically over putting a mop bucket in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
So I responded like this. I didn't bring it out, so I ain't putting it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just where I was at with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So he was like, well, sell in. So I said, sell in? I'm locked up anyways. Selling in don't mean nothing to me. So I went ahead and sold in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, I mean, for me, it was all like a learning process, you know, because I'm young at this time. So when you're young, you know what I'm saying? You have that fire in you. You know what I mean? And then at that particular time, my mentality was still the same. You know, so as I was going through certain things, I'm into winning. You know what I'm saying? And I've always been into winning. And what I mean by winning is not winning a fight. I'm talking about winning in life as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, so where I'm coming out on top of a situation. You know what I'm saying? So always, like I say, I'm always thinking, you know, so as things was taking place, and when you get in certain situations inside, you lose good time. You know, my time was so far away.
You wasn't even factoring that in.
Yeah, I wasn't even factoring that in.
Yeah.
Good time, I was too far away at that time. You know what I mean? So you're not even looking at, you know, the whole good time, you know what I'm saying, aspect of things. You know what I mean? That you can get out earlier. Only time you really start looking at things like that is when you're a lot shorter. You know what I mean? To where, or you get there and you say, damn.
The calendars, because imagine you just line up calendars.
I don't do calendars. You don't do no
calendars. You don't do calendars?
Nah, I never did a calendar, never looked at a calendar. I knew when the month changed, and I knew what days of the week it was.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And birthdays, holidays, because, you know, you have certain people that care about you.
Yeah. They
still reaching out to you. And it's not going to be everybody that basically who you think it's going to be. It's going to be like your mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Number one, maybe a sister.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as like anybody that you feel that was with you, you know, as far as when you was in the house, they don't hang around that long, because you got to think about it. If you're 20 years of age, and if you had a female that was 20 years of age, or if you had people that you know 20 years of age, and you're talking about a decade away.
Yeah.
You're talking about a decade away.
Yeah, for real.
It might be good for that first
6 months.
6 months, a year.
If you get out the county, you're doing good. If you
So it's just like, you know, so once you realize these things, you start seeing it. First, it's anger that takes place. You know,
where do you think the anger is coming from? Just abandonment? People just thinking, you know, not really factoring in. You know, you're young. You're thinking like
when you're in the county jail, when you first, everybody's coming to see you because it's so convenient. Mm-hmm. The mail's coming through.
I'm telling you,
you're on the phone. Yeah, everything's convenient.
They in line, arguing over space.
Yep, but the further that you get, the less you start getting. You know, because I can remember times, you know, when I went up and they used to slide your mail under the door.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean?
That was
a good feeling, huh?
Good feeling. Real good feeling. Yeah. So, and, you know, because everybody's with you at this point.
Hey, the mail's a good feeling.
Yeah, a great feeling. So, you like to hear that sound. You know what I mean? That when they slide under the door, and you look down, it's a piece of that old good bill. You know what I mean? And, you know, maybe, you know, a female may have, you know, her sin on there or just something, whatever it may be, you know. And, you know, you crack the mail, you know, you read the mail and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? So you feel some connection to the world, you know what I mean, out there. Because you're no longer in that world. But one thing that I didn't do is I didn't think at that point in time as far as I didn't made it. Like, you know, I didn't made it to prison. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was a part of what was going on. Yeah. I just accepted the fact that what I was involved in and what I was doing, this is one of the routes that, you know what I'm saying, that I'm going to have to take at some point in time. And in my situation, I guess at 20 years of age, that was my time, you know. But I will say this. I can remember I was inside, and at this time, I probably haven't been there. I was at Column Bay, which was a closed custody facility, and one man cell, you know, and I can remember I was in my cell. It's like maybe I had been down maybe a month, maybe close to a month as far as inside, and went to sleep, a hard sleep, right? You know, a real hard sleep. And when I woke up, I was looking around. For whatever reason, I thought I was at home.
Oh shit!
But when I looked around and I'm looking at these walls and looking at this little tiny window as I'm glancing around, and you could hear the little, you know, noise from other people around. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I said?
What?
I said, "Damn, I'm in prison." You know, it was crazy. Yeah. It was just because it honestly felt like I went to sleep.
You ever had any dreams where you go to sleep and you think like you're free and you try to make yourself wake up?
That was the only time that I
That's the only time. Yeah, I hear that a lot from people. Yeah, I heard that.
That was the only time in the beginning that, you know what I'm saying, I had that dream to where I said to myself, damn, I'm in prison, you know? And so just in itself, looking at that dream and seeing what, you know, seeing what it really did for me is, it's like, it kind of, in a sense, told me that, you know, I need to be home. But the realization of it, I couldn't be home. Yeah. Yeah, because when you in there and you got that sentence, it ain't no go to the phone, talk to an attorney or talk to the judge and tell the judge, look here, I feel like I had enough. You know what I mean?
You can't tap out.
No, you can't tap out.
Yeah.
In a lot of situations, people do.
They do. What about the med line? I know.
Yeah,
I hear about the appeal line.
Yeah,
you know?
appeal line.
Yeah, what is the appeal line? You hear about the appeal line.
Some people they can't, you know, cope with just being, you know, being incarcerated, or they was on some type of medication as far as, you know, when they was, you know, on the outs, and a lot of time that's how some people deal with being incarcerated, because it puts you, it basically falsifies the world that you're living in currently. You know, it takes you away. Yeah. You know what I mean? Some people, you know, mentally they can't do it. You know what I mean? And some people, they, you know, they lose their mind. You know what I mean? Or they want to end their life because they can't do the time. You know what I mean? So you got to understand it like this.
Because I know, I've been in jail, prison and stuff. And even when I was younger, I remember people, they used to come in and then they used to take medication, and then I know they never bounced back. Like I knew them from
absolutely
the streets, and then when I seen them in jail, they started taking medications there. Yeah. Or they never came back.
Yeah, and I seen that as well. Yeah. I just seen some people that.
So that's what made me, you know, even when it comes to, I know some people need medication. That made me always suspicious and paranoid about mental health medication. It's just my experience of mental health medication given to people that's in prison, and just seeing the effects that it happened to them. You know,
most definitely. So it's kind of like. And what I always thought, you know what I'm saying, as far as prison, as far as if you do see it on TV and everything like that.
Yeah, how did, like, when you hit the yard, you know, what kind of expectation did you have of prison? And from the programs you watch on TV and how it's marketed, how was your personal experience, you know, basically on just when it comes to going to mainline, when it comes to, like, the races, gang fights, you know, all these things that they. I mean, do you have any experience with that?
One thing that I did recognize as far as the segregation. Yeah. That was one of the number one thing, because when you go in, everybody sits with their own. As far as working out, as far as eating, you know what I mean. When you at a table, I didn't sit with no other. You know, I didn't sit with nobody except my own. You know what I mean? So, you know, you had the whites, you had the Crip car, you had the blood car, you know what I'm saying? You had the G's, you know what I mean? Then sometimes you had a neutral table where, you know, guys come in to where, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They basically had their own little, you know, little table and whatnot. You had the natives, you know what I'm saying? You had the Spanish, you know what I mean? So everybody had their own, you know what I'm saying, their own little section as far as even on the yard and things like that. You know, everybody had their own little sections and so forth and so on.
Did the black people show unity inside of there, like when they're in prison? You know, how is it when it comes to just, you know?
I feel like, for me, my personal experience, I feel like, and this is my opinion, I felt like when it came to black on black, as far as beefing or whatever the case may be, it was more quicker, more eager to jump into the situation. But when it came to like a different race, Spanish, the natives,
Yeah.
the whites, as it was a confrontation, it was more of the UN. It was more of like a sit down scenario. I was telling you.
What do you mean when you say the UN? What do you mean?
Man,
by
it
the
was,
UN?
it's about some negotiation type time. It was more, they was willing to talk more.
So they're ready to have a confrontation when it comes to their own self, but it was more into more negotiation when it comes to other people.
When it comes to other races.
Yeah.
And I just never understood that, you know what I mean, as far as, and we see it out here today as well, you know, as far as out here in the streets, you know what I mean? We're quick to jump on one another, but for other people, you know what I'm saying, we're more stand down, you know what I'm saying? We're more, you know, standoffish, or we'll back up. But it's just, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I seen. It was like everybody was quick to rush, you know, into a situation. Now, I'm not going to say that people didn't ride or get down when it was time to get down. I'm not going to say that. But I noticed there was more quicker when it was, you know what I'm saying, same, you know, black on black, you know. And in a lot of situations, a lot of guys, they were scared. When it came to like confrontations, to get with, you know, fight with the other races, I see more fear in individuals when it was time to have confrontations with other races than their own. When it was like a black on black situation, people was ready to go. You know what I mean? But when we had situations to where it was about to have an altercation with a whites or the Mexicans or something like that, they was, you know, they was more leery.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? They was more leery. You know what I mean? And what I do notice is that for me, because I'm kind of one of them guys that were, you know what I'm saying? Because people's looking at me, they're watching me, and they look. I got a program. I get in the zone and get into my own.
What was your program like? How did you? What was your? How'd you walk your time off?
Man, I just walked my time off.
Was you drinking Pruno or all this stuff? Smoke? What was it?
When I come inside from the county, I've just always been like that. When I used to go to county jail, you know what I'm saying, so forth. I cut everything off cold turkey. I'm talking about any alcohol, any type of, well, I didn't really smoke weed or anything like that, you know, at this time. But anything that I was more, you know, I did more drinking at that time. I cut it off cold turkey. And they got Pruno in there.
Yeah.
They got weed in there. They got coke, meth, whatever it may be. And you have access, you know what I'm saying, if you have a little few funds or you're willing to work for something, you know what I mean, whatever the case may be, to where you can, you know what I'm saying, you can get at it. But for me, I said I want to do each and every day in reality. That's how I basically, because I wanted to make sure that I remember this time, you know what I'm saying, that I'm away from the world.
Damn.
And this is before I even made the transition as far as when my mind really started to click and really started to think. Because I think that I'm 20 years old and the years are, you know, going. And for the first, I remember the first year, I concentrated on the time hard. The second year, I still was concentrating on the time because I was, you know, still trying to kind of get into the courts and things like that. When I said forget it, 5 years, I didn't even notice 5 years was gone. 8 years, I didn't remember when 8 years was gone. It only woke up to me is when I think when I turned like 28, that's when I feel like my mind started maturing and I started making the proper transitions as far as in order, you know what I'm saying, for me, and I'm not going to say to become a productive citizen of, you know, or anything like that. Yeah. It's productive to myself and for those that I love and who's close to me. That's where I start seeing different. You know what I mean? When I'm seeing different, I'm thinking different. Now I'm doing different. You know what I mean? My means of getting handling business and confrontations and things like that, I ain't jumping to it like I was before. Yeah. I'm methodically thinking. You know what I'm saying? About my moves. It's like almost like, you know, when you do chess. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Making that move your best move. You know what I mean? In order for you to come out the situation on top. And I had been down for so long at this particular time. A lot of people knew me. And they knew how I got down. You know what I mean? And they know that if you step to me, you know, because I'm not going to start nothing. I'm not going to push nobody. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm within. I try to be reasonable in every situation. Before I thought violence was the key to everything. You know what I mean? If you got out of line, I got to show you what's happening, or you gonna show me what's happening, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? But so as I got to that age, that's when the transition really took place, and that's when I started seeing like different. And I ran across like individuals that basically been down almost since I was born.
Damn.
So now you got these guys, you know what I'm saying? I'll just say Iron Mike and Mr. Rob, you know what I'm saying? They know who they are. They was basically off that old parole system, you know what I mean? But the parole board wasn't letting them go. So, they used to always talk to me and just tell me, you know what I'm saying, I got a second chance at life for the time that I had. You know what I mean? So they allowed me, to sit with them, break bread with them, you know what I'm saying?
That's
so
powerful, man. That's hella powerful.
And then they taught me the game of chess. So I should sit down with Iron Mike and play chess. We used to play the best 2 out of 3. I remember sometimes he used to beat me 10. He said, I'm going to beat you 10 straight games. You know what I mean? But within that, he's always giving me, you know what I'm saying, information and fruit, you know what I'm saying, that, I can accept and that it can propel me, you know what I'm saying, to start thinking, start thinking about life. And he was real religious. He was into that church real tough.
Yeah.
I never really been into the religious thing. I just, you know what I'm saying, at that time, I think I just more so started accepting the fact that there is something greater than me as far as a higher power. You know what I mean? So he used to always preach. He always used to say that, I'm going home. Yeah. You know what I mean? He used to always say, I'm going home. And there was times that he even believed it to the point to where he packed up.
Oh, man.
And I didn't go home. You know what I mean? There was a few individuals that did it like that.
Yeah. Man, I remember I was somewhere and it was a Muslim dude trying to convert another inmate to becoming a Muslim, and the guy was telling a story about how he was in the Nation of Islam, and he had the belief that he was going home, and they called him out to the yard, and when they tell people to lock down, he was like, "Nah, I'm waiting for the spaceship." Like he was literally like waiting for the spaceship. Yeah. So
was he on pill line?
He must have been on pure line. I said, man, it's some people like when they get in their mind, they really believe that they're gonna be some way, somehow they're gonna come home.
Yeah.
But that's amazing that people can actually. Do you think? How old do you think Iron Mike and them guys that you talked about? How old do you think they was? Because some just
man, talking about as far as
like what's their age? Because it's amazing how just as being you're 20. How old are you?
I'm
about
51.
51. But how old was you at that time?
I was when I met Iron Mike, I had to be like probably early 20s, mid 20s. I had possibly mid 20s, I would say. And he had to be probably close to his 40s and 50s at that point in time.
So imagine now to come in prison and you got to be a young brother, 21, 22, to get a mentor at 45, 50 in prison. And you can't even really find a mentor out here outside of prison where people can actually, give you gems or, give you some kind of tools where you can use in the future.
I mean, I didn't even
that's kind of powerful. So, that's
but I didn't even look at him as a mentor.
Yeah.
I just knew that he did time, and he had a respect level up in there. People knew him from, like Walla Walla, and back in the days and things. So he had a respect level, and he was speaking truth, because sometimes in a lot of situations, if you just sit back and look at the yard, you'll see guys 50, 60 years old, and they still trying to run around and act like they 21. You know what I mean? Because I done had a situation with this guy. He thought he was a youngster, sagged his pants, everything. Here, he had a Jerry curl too.
Yeah.
He had a curl.
Yeah.
But it was full of gray. The whole thing was gray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's bebopping around, moving. And you know what I had to tell this man?
What?
I said, you know what, man? You're a prime example of what I never want to be. I had to tell him that, man, for the simple fact, because I couldn't believe him at his age to where he was stuck there. And the youngsters, they're not laughing with him, they're laughing at him.
Yeah.
We was young. I was a youngster then.
Yeah.
But they're looking at it as funny, and they're egging it on. I'm looking at it as that's what I don't want to be. I don't want to be a person inside a situation like this here at this age, and this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you get up to a certain age, man, that ticker can stop. Anything can take place at that time. And I said to myself, this is a place I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, spend the rest of my life. For one, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to continue to come back over and over and over again. I feel like certain things in life, even with your mom, it always was called lessons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you want to learn them lessons. You don't want to get in and say, okay, if I did it this way, maybe if I do it this way, this result won't happen. Man, you're going to get the same results at the end of the day.
Yeah. You got to try something different.
Absolutely. And it's like, I hear now that I'm older, I hear like the youngsters say, oh man, it's different times, man. We do things different.
Yeah.
It's no difference when at the end you get the same results.
Yeah.
What is the difference? You know what I mean? There is no difference. The same results is you're going to end up in the grave or you're going to end up in prison as far as when you're dealing with the street life. And the cool thing about it is now is they giving dark dates. You know what I mean? 30, 40, and they changing the laws up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With gun enhancements, so forth and so on. So if you say to yourself, what type of life is that? You know what I mean? And then when in these situations these days, these guys don't have no type of foundation. So what it is they go inside, they have public defenders.
Public pretenders.
As you would say. Yeah. So when they go in, they can't even fight it, so they're copping out.
Yeah.
They taking deals to 30.
Damn.
25. You know what I mean? So you say when they go in, they ain't got a pot to cook in or a window to look out of.
Damn.
You know what I mean? And then they're going in and out so rapidly because some of them they're going in, they're doing 2 years, 3 years, they're getting out, but they didn't came back and forth multiple times. You know what I mean? And I seen it when I was in as well. You know, a guy, I remember on my stay, I didn't see guys come back 3 and 4 times.
Damn.
You know, older than me at this particular time.
Think it was drugs? Or
Yeah, they was doing drugs. Yeah. It was more, they you know what I'm saying? They wasn't into that, you know, toting that iron, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or doing things with that iron. No, they was more like drug offenses, you know what I'm saying? Creeping, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, some of them probably, you know, so-called pimping and so forth and so on. But they would come in with these stories of coming back off the streets and everybody, they would gather around them, you know, and they'd listen to his stories.
Like being around a fireplace.
Yeah, he's telling his stories. But you know what? At the end of that story, he's asking everybody for a care package. Hey man, you got soups.
Yeah.
You got toothpaste. You got lotion, deodorant. So all these moves and everything that he said he was doing out there, he ain't got nothing. Talking about my property got to catch up with me. Now we all know that you can carry something with you on the bus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you make sure that, you know what I'm saying, you carry something with you. So when that situation do come about, you know what I'm saying, you'll be all right. And the reason why I say that, because he's saying his property got to catch up with him. Then when his property catch up with him, he still don't have nothing.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So it's just the narrative that people push off is like
about prison, just making it like it's so positive.
It's so positive.
And then there's a lot of people that they just talk about like they getting that badge of honor. To me, it's
glorifying it.
It's glorifying. Have you ever seen anybody change their gender up in there?
Man.
Or like, do you ever find any people that's like that? You know, when it comes to people are talking about prison, people get raped.
Yeah.
Prison this. You ever seen anything where people change? Like they got their wives come to visit them, but they be a whole different personality when they come around.
When they come to visit. So
when they come to visit,
absolutely.
You know.
I remember it was this one situation. I'm not going to mention his name or just anything like that, but we was in the same pod, and I think he had like maybe a nickel to do. You know,
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years to do, and he had just he showed pictures and had a nice looking female. He just had a baby, but he ended up going in for 5 years, and he was stressing, for whatever she was doing. Because you gotta understand one thing: if you got a young female and you go in and you think that she's gonna be sitting around waiting on you, and you got a nickel to do, hormones was running high at that time.
Yeah, for real.
I remember I'm gonna jump back a little bit. I remember I used to have so many females coming to see me and stuff, in the county jail. So an old timer had told me, he said, hey, he said, I see you in that visiting room. He said, but man, you want to start knocking a lot off and figure out which one's really going to stand, the test of time, as far as how much time they're going to do. Yeah, he said, you got to eliminate it. Because he said, they're not going to be here like that in the end. You know what I mean? In which he was telling the truth. That's one thing that I recognize as well. But to jump back on the topic in which we was talking about, this individual, I talked to him, you know what I mean? And, he realized that he made a mistake and so forth and so on. He was just trying to get a little extra money, but he jumped into the robbery game. And, the robbery life. I can't say the game because this ain't no game. So let me correct myself. I spoke out of turn. One thing about this life is there's no rewinds. There's no resets. There's no redos. You know what I mean? There's no cut. Then there's action. So he entered the life of robbing people, whatever the case may be. But he ended up being in the pod with me, and we talked and everything like that. And, he shot that old basketball real good. And he ended up getting his custody level changed because over a certain period of time, you can go from closed, medium to minimum, so forth and so on. So he ended up, going out to what they call the building, different custody level. And I ain't really seen nothing or heard nothing or anything like that, of him. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when you go to a different unit, you know what I'm saying, you can't cross gyms and so forth and so on. So a person has set it up to where I can go and to a basketball game and keep score. You know what I'm saying? But you go in and you got to sit in a certain area and keep the score, or you know what I'm saying, you can just sit on the sides. Anyways, I got an opportunity to go to this gym, and I ended up seeing this guy running down the basketball court, right? Yeah. But when I look, the shirt's tied in a knot with half the stomach showing. He got on some shorts. You know how the old school basketball players wear shorts back in the day? They just got a tight and high.
You know you, but do you know you? Ego and pride aside. You know me, but you don't know me. I know me, but do I know me? Ego and pride aside. I know you when you don't know you. You know me and I don't know me. That voice in your head been heard for a long time. Artificially a mystery in your own mind. In the core which you always hit you with the calm trash. Developing the issue with some shit you could've walked past. All that wrong math, long ass idling. Tribal shit when your mind's your best survival kit. At war with yourself, arguing with the barber dude. You your own worst enemy, sabotaging you. Voices and choices, don't drink the poison. Poised and wise, defining your own ordinance. Boys to men coming into your own consciousness. Waking up, finding yourself finally on top of shit. Ego and pride aside. I know you, but I don't know you. You know you, but do you know you? Ego and pride aside. You know me, but you don't know me. I know me, but do I know me? Ego and pride aside. I know you and you don't know you. You know me and I don't know me. Ego and pride aside.